swung on, sent high and deep to right field. Right center field, going back and David, it's gone. Darryl Strawberry with the two-run shot here in the bottom of the ninth inning, and the Yankees win it 3-2. Number 3 for Strawberry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you remember Darryl Strawberry, maybe not as a Yankee, but nonetheless hitting the ball out of the park. There was also a lot of controversy in his life, and that controversy has resulted in a new Darryl Strawberry and a marriage that has been through a lot, but has persevered, and it's all in a great new book, The Imperfect Marriage, Help for Those Who Think It's Over. And we welcome in Darryl and his wife, Tracy Strawberry. Hello to both of you.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having us.
Yes, Steve, thanks for having us.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I appreciate you coming on. Let me ask you, Darryl, when you look back on your life, could you ever have imagined then as a player, especially in the 80s, the late 80s, you know, when all the turmoil was around you and the Mets, and that you would have found God the way you have found God?
No, I don't think any of us could imagine that when we're in that type of lifestyle, professional lifestyle, being an icon figure, playing sports or whatever we are in the movies or whatever. I think we don't take the time out to really understand what our real purpose is. And I think through my trials and tribulations and everything that I had to endure, I didn't quit. I got a chance to really find out who I really was, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful that she didn't give up on me, and we were able to go through so many things together and just stay together and learn and grow in principles and purpose and do the things that we're called to do, because I think we're all created for something great. We just have to find it.
You guys have been through all the downs. I mean, as many downs as you could have in a marriage, Tracy. How much do you think is attributable to the fact that Darryl Strawberry is Darryl Strawberry? He's not, Joe Smith who works behind a desk, or is there really no difference in the end when it comes to a marriage?
Well, brokenness is brokenness, and the divorce rate will tell you it doesn't matter if you're Darryl Strawberry, if you're famous or not. So we've got to get this thing called marriage right, and that's a great question. It's the inner person that you struggle with. Now with Darryl, obviously, he had to live it out in the spotlight, so that definitely gives some pressure and some components there. But for the everyday person, average person, Steve, like you or I, or whatever the case may be, that's why this book is so awesome. We're talking to real people with real problems. We've suffered adultery, addiction, losing everything. We worked our way from the bottom up, and maybe you didn't fall that far down the scale. But this book is for the people. We wrote it because of the overwhelming demand of people looking for answers and saying, you know what, how do we get over this? How did you guys do it? How did you battle? How did you get through? And people get divorced today, Steve, even for simple things, like bickering or whatever. We are not disposable people, so we've got to get this thing called marriage right. And we let you in. We talk about real things in this book, but we also talk about real solutions.
Right, and I mean, I'm divorced, but you guys went through, adultery, addiction, financial distress, of ultimate financial distress. What do you think, Tracy, and then I'll ask you, Darryl, and you might be on the same page, I'm sure you are. How are you still together?
Well, our faith, definitely number one. Just being strong in God, because I'll tell you what, willpower is not enough. And having the strength of God in my faith, I can tell you right there, in Jesus Christ, allowed me to love Darryl through the hard times and create boundaries, and being able to take acceptance of me. I had to look at myself and admit my wrongs and become honest with myself, and Darryl had to do the same. But we both got serious. We grew up, we both got on board and said, you know what, we've got to get this thing called right. We have to grow up. We have to learn how to communicate. We have to learn to heal from the inside out and overcome these issues and deal with them and stop running. We have got to stop running and just pushing things away and thinking that the grass is greener on the other side. So through faith, persistence, being honest, dealing with things, forgiving, learning how to trust again, overcoming, healing from the inside out, all of those things are in this book, Steve.
And Darryl, are you able to accomplish this, what your wife is talking about? knowing that the grass isn't always greener, isn't greener on the other side, trust, the whole thing, and keeping it. Are you at a place now where you know, there's no more straying in your future, there's no more, you know, substance abuse, there's no more lying? Are you confident that you're at that place, or is everybody always a step away, an inch away from falling off?
No, I'm truly confident in who I am as a changed person. I think the most important thing is I learned to put kingdom-minded and biblical principles in my life and live them. I don't really talk about them, and you don't see much of me a lot around anymore because I'm doing things that are totally different than I did before. And I think that's what it has to change inside. It has to be a me before it's a we, and I had to get me together more than anything. And I think when we look at ourselves and identify ourselves as a person that's strictly just an athlete, and that's what you're all about, then that's what you're going to continue to thrive on. I don't thrive on baseball. I don't thrive on being an athlete. I thrive on being a minister. I thrive on principles. I thrive on the fact that I'm a God-centered man. I love my wife. I love my kids, and that's the way I live. I don't like to talk about it much, but this is what we talk about in this book to help people understand that a transformation has to come about in your life where you change inside, not what you look like on the outside. Everybody looks great on the outside, but inside people have so many deep-rooted, vetted issues, and their life is so toxic they can never get well.
Right.
And you're going to stay in the same place if you don't do that.
No, and I could talk to you for an hour about baseball, but we have 11 minutes and we're talking about this because I think it's very important, and that's what the book's about. Let me ask you this. You also talk about how God's design for marriage, and you believe that the man is the ruler of the home and always has the final say-so. Am I portraying it right, Darryl?
Well, I think God makes the man the head. There's no question. Not the knucklehead, but the head. And he has to be able to lead his family into the biblical principles to make his life go according to what the standards are from God. And that's what I've done. I don't live with an ego and saying just because I provide for my family and do this, that I have the right to rule and reign over everything. I mean, you have to learn to communicate. You have to learn to work through things together. And I think a lot of times we're so distant because the worldly lifestyle teaches us through social media and everything else that it's okay to interact and chat and do all these different things, and it's not, because that's not principles. You get conceived with doing those kind of things, and you get distracted, and before you know it, you done fell into the old patterns
Right.
of doing things again.
And Tracy, you abide by that philosophy also, God's plan for marriage, where the man is in charge of the household?
Yeah, and let me clarify that, Steve. That's such a great question because submission has such a nasty meaning to it.
I didn't say submission, but go ahead.
I know. But Darryl and I discussed things, and there was a point in time where Darryl could not lead the family, so I had to make the decisions because he was not capable. So that dysfunction was producing things. We kind of had to separate, even though we were living in the same household. I had to make decisions to protect ourselves and protect the family, number one. My husband is a man of God today. He's a man of integrity and a man of character. He's capable of making those decisions and leading today. And I put one example in the book about if we cannot agree, because there are several times we get the facts together, we talk about it, we discuss it, but if we absolutely are still on different sides of the fence or whatever the case may be, and we've discussed it thoroughly and calmly, I let him make the final decision, because I know he's not doing it to harm us, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So we do discuss. He just doesn't get to, have the final say over everything. It's a discussion, but if we can't come to an agreement, I trust that my husband is working in the best interest of our family. And, we go ahead and we walk with his decision.
Darryl, are you political at all? Do you look around and we have the first black president, yet, we see what happens in the inner cities. Education stinks. Chicago, the violence around the country where kids are getting shot all the time. Fatherless homes in the black community. Do you look at Barack Obama and think he hasn't done enough or needs to do more or what?
Well, I'm not political, but I don't think it's his whole responsibility. I think it's America's whole responsibility to educate, these kids in the inner city and bring fatherhood into them, because there's no fathers there. And that's what the book is really about, the imperfect marriage, because we're all imperfect people. But our whole thing is, with me and Tracy, is we love people, we love to help people and educate people. I think, Steve, the most important thing is people are not educated into what life is really all about. I think we're more educated about having this and being this instead of walking in purpose.
And the media does that, right? That's the media's fault.
That's no question. The media does do that, and I think they should be better at educating the people more, and such a positive spin. It's too much negative spin. There's not enough positive spin about how we can help and make a difference.
Listen, guys, congratulations. I know you're coming up on 8 years. God bless both of you for coming on, not for coming on, for being who you are and writing the book, and thank you for coming on, and good luck with it, and we'll hopefully speak to you again.
Thanks so much, we appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Darryl Strawberry and Tracy Strawberry, ladies and gentlemen. The Imperfect Marriage, help for those who think it is over. All right, we mentioned Obama. We're taking our Newsmax poll. Should Obama be impeached? Weigh in. Go to Newsmax.com/Obama poll. Newsmax.com/Obama poll. Up next, Give Me 5.